do you feel like it's normal for you to be so concerned about like what could possibly go wrong?
In terms of marriage, or?
Like
well, in terms of
everything.
I think it might be more general, but especially in dating and marriage.
So you're saying that like when it comes to dating, I am risk averse.
Yeah, like
more
you
than
don't.
the norm. More than the norm. Well, I think I am merely moving and operating the same way that like an average woman would move in terms of my screening process, because I think men are honestly terrible screeners and they'll honestly take anything that comes, whereas like I think I'm approaching, like when it comes to the screening that I do, like it's commensurate with like the average woman. So am I risk averse when it comes to dating? Probably, but that's smart.
To a degree, it's smart. I think you can miss out on a lot of great girls by refusing to pay for a first date.
No, that's some gangster shit. They love that shit.
Like, your name is Grace, right?
What's not paying
You
for
can't
it?
tell me.
Huh?
Wait, what's gangster? Not paying for it or paying
Huh?
for it?
Not paying for it.
Not paying for it? I mean,
think-
it's not
No,
gangster.
it's cowardly.
Honestly, it's
How's
gonna
it
make-
cow? Whoa.
If I pay,
I take offense. I take
will
offense.
say-
Someone give me a glove. I'm going to challenge you to a duel. How dare you call me a coward?
You can't tell me that if a woman like Grace wanted to go on a date with you, that you'd be like, oh yeah, she's sleeping with a bunch of men, so I can't buy this
Grace?
nice
Huh?
lady a dinner.
Oh, no. She's got the Miley Cyrus hair. I don't know.
Wait, so Brian,
Miley
I don't know
Cyrus
this
is
about
bad.
you. You don't ever pay on first dates.
There are some rare occasions in which I will pay for a first date.
Like, you don't even go
So-
half and half. Like, it's just a full. You don't like.
No. I'll
have
pay.
to-
I'll pay,
How
I'll
do
pay for my
you-
food.
Okay.
Of course,
How
I pay
do
for
you
my. I'm a
decide-
gentleman.
All right,
I'll
see,
pay for my
that's,
food.
That's different.
Wait, what if you
How do you
I'm a perfect
decide
gentleman.
when you're
Like, you're not gonna
paying
pay for her, though.
her part of the like?
Huh?
What does that look like? How
does
does
it
that
look
go
like?
down?
Oh, you
When
want some
do-
game?
Like,
I'll give you
like
some
the,
game.
The check
No,
comes
no.
and you've decided
I've
at
already-
some point
yep.
in the date, like I'm not paying for her portion.
What do you mean? Hold on. At some point in the date, I've just that's predetermined.
No, he has a
There's
whole
there's not
plan.
there's not a decision in the middle of the date where like I'm not paying for this shit. It's
Oh.
like going in. I don't care how cool she is. I ain't paying
Oh,
for that
so
shit.
because you said sometimes you'll pay, sometimes you don't. So I thought, like, what? How do you
Oh,
determine
okay, that's
when
fair.
you?
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's
That's
fair.
why
Okay,
I was
okay.
like, well,
You're
how,
right. That's
how are
fair.
you
You
deciding?
caught me.
Yeah.
You've caught me.
What if you
so
asked?
in the
No,
yeah,
Wait,
say
hold on.
you-
One question at a time.
How
Form
do
a,
you
form a
des-
line, please. I will
how do you
answer all your
decide
questions in
when
time.
to pay for a date,
Yeah.
and how do you decide when you're not
Sure.
going to, and what does
course,
that look
of
like
course.
on the date for you?
So there's one thing I'll look at is
She's not ready.
income.
Okay.
Income. If she's making good money, if she's a professional, she has a career, under those circumstances, man,
Victor
I was
Apostle
about to
donated
cook, bro.
$100.
Yo, thank you, Victor.
I feel like Brian is a bit too careful when it comes to dating, but it seems that's not enough looking at how the dating scene looks like in the States. In other places you don't have all these factors that make it harder for you. Cheers, Bree.
Well, I mean,
Right.
one thing he's talking about, like, for example, guys have to be cognizant when it comes to the not paying thing. A lot of, maybe not a lot of women, but enough women do what's called a foodie call, where they're going on dates without a genuine intention of pursuing anything, whether it be sexually or romantically. So they'll go on a date with a guy because they had nothing better to do and they just want a free meal. No, I'm not saying all women do this, but if you've dated long enough, like you've ran into a girl who's a user. Just like I'm sure women have, you guys have maybe
Good
ran into
guys,
dudes who are fucking
So
either
do you know this before
misrepresenting.
the date? Like, I
Huh?
can tell she's that kind of woman, so I'm not going to pay. And then why are you taking
Well,
her
that's
in the first
that's
place?
like a
You know? If that's the determining factor,
You wouldn't go if you knew it was
why
a
are you
foodie call.
taking her out?
Yeah, I wouldn't go, but,
Right.
like-
So when do you not pay for a date? Predetermined.
Well,
or-
like as I was about to say, if she's a career woman, if she's making her own money, and also like living in California, a lot of women you encounter tend to lean more liberal, progressive. So you kind of like, bro, you can't be feminist until the check comes. You can pay. Like, this is what you asked for. Maybe that's a bit vindictive. But I'd say the main thing is, for example, if she's younger and she's in college or something, like she's 21, she's still in college, under those circumstances, I'd be
Like, you'll
more
factor it out
inclined,
like that.
more inclined to pay. But honestly, I feel like you can do some even extra gangster shit and just do something for free. Do some free shit. Go for a little.
So the best move, and it's only a
Do a
couple
little
of men
walk.
have ever done it.
Huh?
It's when the thing that I love the most is when the man excuses himself to go to the restroom and he pays the bill so that so it's not even an issue at the table. So he takes care of the bill and it's done, and then they come and they say thank you. That happened to me, and I swear it was like, wow.
Yeah, well,
that was a class act, because he was like, I'm not even going to put her in a position. He knows who I am. He's like, I'm not even going to go there. It didn't matter like what I made, what I did, whatever. He's like, of course I want to get it. And so he just got it.
Yeah, listen, this isn't like what I am putting out there is not like the most effective thing you can do. The most effective thing you can do, regardless of what the situation is, whether it's a foodie call, whether it's not, whether she's liberal, whether she's conservative, is to pay for the date. However, as a matter of principle, even though it comes at my detriment or my potential detriment by losing women, for me it's kind of like a principle thing, because if you're like dating liberal women, which I mean, I'm trying to avoid that in recency, but like living in California, living in Santa Barbara, a super liberal place, a lot of the women you're going to encounter are probably like lean liberal. They'd probably say, I believe in gender equality. Gender roles should be removed, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Genders can be equal and have different roles. Men and women are equal in their dignity.
Yeah, but you can't.
But they can have different roles, and they can be complementary. You don't have to say that a woman is lesser than a man to justify paying for a woman's meal. That's not what I'm saying. But there are certain gender roles that benefit men, and there are certain gender roles that benefit women. Okay.
So you don't get to like equality is not a buffet where you pick and choose the benefits with which you like you take the equality that benefits you and disregard the equality that doesn't come to your benefit. That's my view of equality.
So you're saying that if a woman, just for clarification, so if the woman wants the right to vote and the right to an education, then she shouldn't anticipate a man paying for her meal to give her a small social cue that he is of a provider mindset.
Well, being in the provider mindset, that's a traditional gender role. I'm not sure the two examples you gave are perfect examples, but I'm trying to think of
Maybe you could think of one.
I'm trying to think of a better example. For example, okay, you want a man who's a leader and who's a protector and who's going to take initiative, right?
In what sense?
Okay, so, well, paying for the date, that would be like a man being in the leadership position. So if you want a man to be in that leadership position, he ought to have, like, the man in a long-term relationship, in a marriage, should be the head of the household. In other words, the final decision on any issue is mine. For example, if I want my kids to not go to public school and I want them to go be homeschooled, and you disagree with me, it's my call.
Right. So I would only marry a man whose judgment I trusted in the first place.
Okay.
So I'm only going to marry a man where I feel like he would make proper decisions for my life and my children's life and for the betterment of the family.
Sure.
And so that's a non-issue to me. That's what I want him to be a leader. If I don't respect him and I don't think he's a good decision maker,
well, you shouldn't be dating him.
Then I wouldn't be dating him. So
Exactly.
that's like, of course I want that.
I'm trying to think of another example.
So
Go ahead, Priya.
I definitely agree with that, but to an extent, I think that just because I do believe that the man of the home is essentially the main decision maker, there are probably going to be decisions that he's going to make that I don't fully agree with at that point in time, but I'm going to trust him and believe, because I trust his decision-making capability, and I trust that he has my our well-being and the well-being of our future kids at the forefront of his mind, and I have to trust that he's making these decisions for that betterment.
I agree 100%, and I actually think that oftentimes men make better decisions
100%.
Than I would make, and I think I've learned in dating that sometimes men have a foresight that I don't have. And if I just defer to their decision and what they've chosen, I often find that if I sit back and allow it to play out, it actually is a great decision. Whereas when I was younger, I think I might have been like, well, I don't see that, and I'm not sure, and I think we should do it this way or whatever. But now, I don't know. I feel differently now. So I'm saying I agree with you.
No, totally.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just one more quick point. Just women tend to be more emotional decision makers, and men tend to be more rational. So I think, therefore, that's why they historically make better and more trusted decisions.
So let me ask you a question. Is it a man's job to pay on a first date?
I think for me, if a man doesn't pay, he's not the man for me.
Okay.
Most likely.
Now, if I were to say
So
it's a woman's job
it's
to
his
cook and clean, do you object to that statement? Or is that okay for you?
I think that if someone's in a traditional gender rolled marriage and they've decided like the woman's going to stay home and cook and clean and raise the kids and the husband's going to be a provider,
Sure.
like that's fine.
Now, I'm not, just to clarify, I'm not
Okay.
necessarily saying that that's what I believe.
Yeah.
But as a woman, even if you're a liberal-leaning woman, you're not
Yeah.
going to get a ton of pushback if you say, I want a guy who, or I think men should pay for the first date. However, if a guy were to say, I think a woman should cook and clean, you're going to get a lot. Bro, people will be losing their shit over that.
If a man wants a woman who wants to stay home and be a homemaker, then he should find that kind of woman. There's lots of women who want to do that. I
Okay.
think that's great. I have nothing
Sure.
wrong with that. I do know women who don't like when men pay on dates, and that's fine too. But you're asking my opinion. Do I think a man should pay on the first date? People have free will. They can do whatever they want. All I'm saying is if I go on a date and I go to dinner, if I'm asked out on a date from a man and we go to this dinner and the bill came and he wanted to split it with me, I would split the bill. I wouldn't say anything about it. I would quietly pay my piece. I would quietly pay my piece of the bill, but I wouldn't go on a second date with him.
That's fine. And
Yeah.
look, everyone can have.
I mean, I
You know,
don't.
there are
It's
things.
not like a big. It's just my preference. Yeah.
Okay. But couldn't it be my preference to not want to pay on the first date?
It can be your preference, yes.
Okay. But you object to it.
I don't object to it for you if that's
Okay.
your choice and that's attracting the kind of woman that you want. But for me, if you and I went on a first date and you said, hey, Nicole, let's go out to dinner. We go to some seafood place. I don't know. You're wearing flannel and I'm looking great. And then the bill came and you wanted you said, oh, okay, let's split the bill. I'd be like, okay, great. I wouldn't be negative in the moment. I'd be polite and I'd split the bill with you, but I wouldn't go out again.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, well, you're bringing up the physical appearance thing, in terms of a man's dress. I mean, I would simply just reiterate once again, while it does add bonus points for a man to be physically attractive or well-dressed, that is not our primary method, at least I believe, of being attractive to a partner.
I agree.
I think that's more within the realm of women.
I agree.
In that situation, though, at the same time, it also does kind of depend on who invited who out.
Well,
Who invited who out?
yeah, but generally speaking, men are initiating first dates.
If I
Like,
split the bill with a
overwhelmingly.
man, it's because I'm not interested in him. So I'll sometimes I will offer to split it,
Sure.
or to pay it, and
Yeah.
it's
So you
because I'm
don't
not
feel
No,
like
and look,
interested.
you're
there's
saying-
definitely guys,
But-
and there's definitely guys that will be, if you even offer to split, they might be turned off by that. There are some guys who are gonna be like,
Right.
no, no,
That's
no,
why I
no,
would
got
only
it,
do
but they
that
might be turned
if
off
I
by it.
wasn't interested in him.
But then there are definitely guys who will look at that and be like, oh, okay, she wants to equally contribute to
Yeah.
the start of this relationship, and I don't think that makes a guy a super liberal soy boy cuck or anything.
Yeah.
I like when they reach for it. Do that thing where they pretend that they're going to find their purse. They have
Stop.
no
Honestly-
intention.
I don't reach.
Honestly, the hottest, I think the hottest thing a girl could do is she just pays for the whole fucking thing. She's a straight up simp. That's so fucking hot if a girl's just a simp.
That's
for you.
actually a good call.
She's like,
Is
I'll
that
be
what
true.
that's called, though?
simp.
That's called simping?
I did that a couple dates ago. I went
Stop.
inside to the restroom and I paid the whole bill.
No, because shows that she's really trying.
But I
to
wasn't
impress
interested
you.
in
That's
him.
actually that is
What if
hot.
you forget that's just your nature?
I
is
just got
caretaking.
it,
Yeah.
and I can.
Acts of service. Let's go.